Hey guys, Kuon here today with the tier list update you've all been waiting for, Paragons of the Coliseum. Finally, Kuon, aka Dimension Shift, is going to be a tier 1 deck. It's going to be at all of your locals and your tournaments, so make sure to check this out. I've got 4 tier 1 decks. I will mention that I do think Dshift is the strongest out of all of these, but we just want to give you a few options. So first of all, we've got Egghaven, very much the same deck as before. All we've really added is Phantom Blade Water, so it's a strong 2-cost follower. Mainly used because when you evolve it, it does 2 damage ping to an enemy follower, and then if you don't have any other cards to play, and you have 2 play points in the end of turn, it does 2 damage ping to an enemy follower again. So it's very good against decks like Fairy in particular. Next, we've got Dimension Shift. So Dimension Shift is the big winner of the set. So basically, it's got Kuon. Basically, Kuon, it gets discounted for every spell on Omnioji card in your grave. When you have enough spells in Omnioji, you play it for free, and then you can Storm attack for 5 damage, and this is a 5/5 as well. And then you play Dshift to skip the opponent's turn, and then you can attack for 5 + 5, so you've got 15 damage all up with Kuon and Dshift. And in order to accomplish this, it does run the Omnioji package. So Paper Shikigami is a 2/2 token, and when it gets destroyed, you get to draw a card and discard a card. It's 2/2, so it also gets the board presence. So Curse Crafter, this card will get restricted later on, but not yet. So basically, what it does is when it comes out, it brings out a Paper Shikigami token. You can get rid of that Paper Shikigami token to then damage an enemy follower for 4 damage. Then, using Paper Shikigami's effect, you draw a card and discard a card, which turbos the condition. Also, it can evolve to do a 2 or 4 damage ping, depending on how many spells and Omnioji cards are in your cemetery. So Curse Crafter is insanely good. It helps you control the board. And on top of that, you just run cards that summon Shikigamis, like Shikigami Summons, Traditional Sorcerer, and some builds will also run Demon Caller. So that's pretty much Dshift in a nutshell. I mean, once you play it a bit, you'll understand what it does intuitively. Next, we'll have Disdain Dragon. So this deck, very similar to what it was before, except it got a very massive buff in the form of Phylene and her spell. So basically, Phylene, when she comes out on the field, shuts down all aggression. Basically, choose a follower. It doesn't refresh during the next turn. And also during Overflow, you can search for Bifrost Whisper, which is a 2 PP removal spell. So essentially, this is a little bit of extra burn, bit of extra tempo in the early game. Sets of Draconia very well. Essentially, it's very similar to Disdain from the previous set, except what it does is you are way less likely to take that early game damage, so you'll enter mid game with an extra 5 or so HP, and then that gives you the flexibility and the time to basically do additional burn damage to the enemy. And then finally, we've got Amataz Forest. So again, Amataz Forest is a very strong deck. So it's probably the aggro deck of the season. So essentially, it can go either wide or tall, depending on the buff cards you draw. Amataz itself gives Storm to the fairy tokens, and then basically the rest of the cards either buff it or they combo well with the 1 PP fairies. So you can finish them off with Rhinoceros, for instance, or you can finish them off with Amataz. So if your opponent isn't watching out for this, they're going to be very surprised about the huge amount of damage you put out with Amataz. Definitely the strongest aggro deck of the current format. Moving along, we have Yokai Abyss. So the bottom list, I uploaded it incorrectly, so you still get the top one. So this is just an example. Yokai typically is mixed with a Silence package. Silence is very strong. It basically rounds out the weaknesses of the Yokai package. So essentially what this deck does is just play for the early game, right? Like, you know, obviously you've got very overstated and strong followers like Rune and Demonium. And then basically control the board early, run them out of resources, use a Silence package to burn and remove. And then eventually, when they're low on resources, you drop Insetsu to flood the board, or you drop Alucard to kind of start finishing the game and healing and all of that kind of stuff. So basically, it's getting a win condition sort of to the Silence package, and then Yokai is getting kind of the board control and hand control package from Rulonai. So basically, they work with each other very well. It's a strong deck, definitely recommend it. Sanguine Abyss, so we do have here the aggro build, so there's no downrate in this one, but there are downrate builds too, so if you prefer that, you can play that instead. But it's basically just an aggro deck. You know, not too much to explain. Basically, there's a lot of cards do self-damage, plus very well statted followers, and then when you're on Sanguine, you can basically get bonus effects. Mid-range Forest, I won't go through this one. I didn't upload a new list because it's pretty much the same as before. It's still a good deck, but basically, I think, you know, you may as well just play Amataz Forest, to be honest. Hero Sword, so Hero Sword, it does get Ralmia, which is very strong, and Courtly Dance. So Courtly Dance, it can actually search Machniad off the top of your deck. And it gets Storm. And then they're also running Quick Draw Maven, which is a very strong kind of removal card, so you discard a card, you deal 5 damage. So I mean, Hero Sword wants to go low on hands, and you can get rid of like your dead cards as well. So a lot more ball control, a bit more late game potential, especially Quality Dance. So that is Hero Sword. Next one is Usurpation Sword. So this one also got a bit of a buff. Well, the engine is a bit different. So now it's running kind of the Ralmia and the Kagemitsu package. Of course, Quick Draw is basically played in every deck, to be honest. So again, just store them out, mill their cards, get free evolves, and then basically Kagemitsu is a strong late game option. And on top of that, you basically got the ever strong kind of Usurpation package. So that's that one. Okay. And then moving along, we've got the Aegis Haven. So Aegis Haven, again, I'm not going to go through it. It's pretty much the same list as before. You played against last set. We've got Ralmia Sword. So Ralmia Sword. Basically, this one is focusing heavily on basically the aggro package. It doesn't run Usurpation. It doesn't run Hero. It's just sort of a middle ground where you're basically playing effective early game followers. And then basically Flutter, you get Ralmia for free Evo. And it's got Storm. And then basically you go from there. So that is Ralmia Sword. And then finally, we've got Hunter Forest. So, Hunter Forest. I don't think I uploaded a deck list for this. There should be one later on. I think we just moved some things in Darkness. Okay, and then Wardhaven. So, Wardhaven, basically this list, it's a bit of a mix between Stormhaven and Wardhaven. So, Wilbur basically is your top end. When it gets played, you can basically search top 5 when you play a ward not named Wilbur from the top of it. And then basically you can flood the board very easily. Your opponent can't easily kind of race you because your followers have ward after swinging. You've got a bunch of storm followers. So overall, I mean, can't be bothered playing Egghaven. Wardhaven is always an option. So that is Paragons of the Coliseum tier list. Of course, there are other decks in the format. So make sure to kind of, experiment and top deck with top events with that. And then we'll add that to the website accordingly. But it's the initial look at Paragons of the Coliseum. I think it's a fairly decent representation of the strong list that you're going to see over the course of the expansion. Best of luck with the BCS, and also before we head off, quick thanks to Patreon supporters, so Rockstar Siege, Baltar, Gerald Fasuka, Framework Comanche, Rise, Yamino Okami. We just published the BP06 Open 8 guide, and we also have a Kuon guide under development. So if you need a bit of help with Kuon, make sure to sub, as that will be coming out later. So that's pretty much it from me for this time. Thank you so much as always for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. We do this every single expansion. And we'll see you guys next time.